I hope we never get to the place where we hear the story of Jesus so much, his trial, his flogging, his beating, his whipping, how they mocked him and they crucified him. We hear it so much that it just sort of doesn't do anything for us. Yeah, I've heard that before. I hope we never come to that place, because what happens here is so unbelievably profound. We're talking about the fact that Jesus goes before Pilate. He barely says anything, which astounds Pilate, because we're so eager to always plead our side of the story. But Jesus doesn't do that, right? He's led like a lamb to the slaughter, reminding us what Isaiah said back in Isaiah chapter 53. Here we are in Mark chapter 15, and we're continuing in our Mark devotional series. We see that Jesus is led into this port after Pilate has released Barabbas in Mark 15, and now Jesus is going to be crucified. And so this whole process of being tortured and beaten starts. In Mark 15, we read this. This is verse 16. And the soldiers led him away inside the palace, that is the governor's headquarters, and they called together the whole battalion. They clothed him in a purple cloak. Twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on him, and they began to salute him. Hail, King of the Jews! And they were striking or beating his head with a reed, and they were spitting on him and kneeling down in homage to him, mocking him. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the purple cloak and put his own clothes on him, and they led him away to be crucified. All of this part of the process, as horrific as it is, if you can imagine the real life implication of how brutal these people were to Jesus, reminds us that there is significance in it. We go back to Isaiah 53, that he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was placed upon him, and through his stripes we are healed. There is power and significance in the suffering that Jesus did for us. And I hope that we never come to the point where we forget that we are a part of that group flogging Jesus. We're a part of the group of soldiers nailing his hands to the cross and his feet to the cross. And we would maybe think, no, I would never do that. If I lived back in those days, I would have been a follower of Christ. That sounds great, and I hope that that would be true for all of us, really. But the reality is that we are sort of a victim of our circumstances to some degree. We are our perspective, our perception of how the world works. And so we put ourselves back in those times. And even the fact that we are sinners. We are sinners and we are estranged from God. The issue that we have to wrestle with then is Jesus died for our sin. It was my sin. It was your sin that put Jesus on the cross. And really, in order to participate in the grace that the cross offers through the power of the resurrection, we have to see ourselves as part of the reason that Jesus came to die. So I pray that we never get to a point where the story gets old, or we've heard it 1,000 times so it doesn't have the same depth and the meaning. There's a great book by John Stott called The Cross of Christ. I can't recommend it enough, but he says in the book in so many different ways that until we really see the hammer in our hand, having put Jesus on the cross, we really can't fully identify and appreciate the depth of the grace and the love and the mercy and the forgiveness that Christ offers to me. When I realize that it's my sin that put Jesus on the cross, going through the flogging and the mocking and the beating and the whipping and the torture, when I realize that it's my sin that put him on the cross, I'm so much more receptive and changed and transformed by the grace that he offers. And I pray that's an encouragement to you as we read through Mark 15 carefully and slowly and prayerfully, and the other Gospels in the account of the crucifixion, that it washes over us, and we're so thankful, humbly thankful, that God would love us enough, that Jesus would love us enough to die for us in our mess, in our sin, to offer us forgiveness and hope. God bless you. We'll see you next time.